Good morning everyone. Welcome back to the bio class. Last class we have discussed about aerobic and anaerobic respiration, and we have discussed that the aerobic respiration undergoes various changes through series of reaction which we name as glycolysis, Krebs cycle, electron transport chain, and we have also discussed that glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm and remaining process takes place in the mitochondria. Glycolysis is the first step where glucose is broken down into pyruvic acid, which when further gets your oxygen, they reach mitochondria and further breakdown takes place. But if they don't get oxygen, the pyruvate is broken down into ethyl alcohol, C2H5OH, and carbon dioxide, and 2 ATP molecules of energy are released. The energy released in respiration, in anaerobic respiration, is only 2 ATP, whereas in aerobic respiration it is 38 ATP. The entire detail we are going to study in respiration in animals. Here you just have to study few important points which we have discussed last class, and few I am going to discuss right now. Catabolic and anabolic process. Catabolic and anabolic, these are the two types of process which takes place in the plant body or in our body also. Anabolic means it's a constructive process, it's a constructive process that is making of a complex thing from a simple thing. Like photosynthesis, we use carbon dioxide and water to make glucose. Anabolic process is a constructive process that is making of a complex substance. Catabolic process is a destructive process that is breaking down of a complex thing into a simple one, like glucose is broken down into carbon dioxide and water and energy. This is catabolic, that is destructive process. So respiration comes under catabolic process and photosynthesis comes under anabolic process. One thing, respiration occurs both in presence and absence of sunlight, whereas photosynthesis can occur only in the presence of sunlight. It does not require chlorophyll, it requires chlorophyll. The raw materials are glucose and oxygen. Here the raw materials are carbon dioxide and water. Here the end product is carbon dioxide, water and energy. Here the end product is your glucose and oxygen. Here in respiration, food is broken down and energy is utilized. Here food is made and energy is stored. So in respiration, the weight of the plant decreases because we have used the food which is there. But in photosynthesis, the weight is increased because they store food. This is the difference between respiration and photosynthesis. Then we come to a difference between respiration and combustion. Respiration is a metabolic process that is taking place inside a living organism. Combustion is a non-metabolic process. It takes place outside living organism. It is carried out by different enzymes, but in combustion no enzymes are required. In respiration, energy is released step by step, one by one. At every step, little amount of energy is released. Whereas in combustion, when you burn a thing, energy is released at once. Energy is released in form of ATP. Here, energy cannot be released or stored or in any form. It is released immediately in form of heat energy, and it occurs in the body temperature, whereas combustion requires a very high temperature. Right. Now, one important point which you have to study is compensation point. Children, remember this thing, compensation point is actually not possible practically. It is a process which is done under controlled condition to find out. It is an experimental process. Practically, this process is not possible. What is compensation point? It is also called as light compensation point, or you can say it is light intensity at which the gaseous exchange is zero. That means the amount of carbon dioxide or the amount of oxygen produced by the plant by the process of photosynthesis is utilized by the plant for respiration, and the amount of carbon dioxide produced by the plant in respiration is used for photosynthesis by the plant itself. So these two procedures are going together parallel to each other, and the net gain in gaseous exchange is zero. The environment is not getting oxygen, the environment is not getting carbon dioxide. This point where the amount of oxygen produced is utilized for respiration and amount of carbon dioxide produced is utilized for photosynthesis is called as compensation point, photosynthetic ratio or respiratory ratio, and it is also called as your light compensation point because photosynthesis can occur only in presence of light. So it's a time, it's a intensity of light. Again I am repeating, compensation point is a point where in an intensity of light the gas produced in photosynthesis, the oxygen produced by photosynthesis is utilized by respiration by the plant itself, and the carbon dioxide produced by during respiration by the plant is utilized by the plant for photosynthesis itself. So the net gaseous exchange is zero. This is called as photosynthetic point or respiratory ratio or compensation point. Now in plants and animals respiration differ. In plants respiration is the rate of respiration is very low. In plants, during anaerobic respiration, it produces ethyl alcohol. What is produced? It produces ethyl alcohol, whereas in animals, it produces lactic acid. Ethyl alcohol and lactic acid. In plants, it is ethyl alcohol, whereas in animals, it is lactic acid. Right, this is the difference in production of in your anaerobic respiration. Then in case of animals, they have respiratory system, proper respiratory system, whereas in plants the gases are simply diffused inside. Am I clear? This is the difference between the respiration in plants and in respiration in animals. Okay, now the other thing which you have to study over here is there are certain experiment in on respiration. While performing experiment, we have two setup. One is the experimental setup and the other is the control setup. Control setup is the one in which we have removed the thing which we want to study. Suppose we want to study the effect of oxygen. So in control setup, we will not provide oxygen and see what is the effect. In experiment, we use soda lime. What is the work of soda lime in the experiment? Soda lime absorbs any carbon dioxide present in the incoming air. Right, so lime water will not turn milky if soda lime is present, and in the other one lime water will turn milky, showing that plant is producing that carbon dioxide. Right, again we use seeds like for germination purpose. We want to see if during germination respiration is taking place. For germination purpose, if we are taking proper soaked seed. In other, we are going to, for the control experiment, we will use boiled seed so that no germination takes place, and we are going to sow it in disinfectant so that there is no microbial action, because if there is microbial action, then what will happen? Microbial action, then they are going to respire anaerobically, and our purpose of experiment will not be solved. Am I clear? Am I clear? Okay, so this chapter is over. There are 4-5 activities given in your book. Please go through the activity. Whatever problems you have, whatever queries you have, you can ask during the virtual class, or you can post your queries to me personally on the WhatsApp, or you can post your queries in the portal, right? So for now that will be all, and I'm going to give a assignment sheet for this chapter. Have a good day.